everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Advanced Level. My name is Felipe Parada, and with me, as always, is my good friend Oscar Portillo.
Hey, what's up?
Good, everything's good. How was your weekend?
It was good. I've been a little. I've been playing Beyond Two Souls, and I'm not feeling it really. But that's
Really?
about it.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's it's funny that you say that because over the weekend I played a little bit of it, and I got pretty far. But you know what? I have to agree with you in the fact that I'm just not. It's not grabbing me like how Heavy Rain did.
Yeah, I agree. Heavy Rain was. I liked it a lot, and I thought I was gonna like this. And I haven't gotten a chance to play Detroit, so I thought, oh, let me try this. Let me try Beyond Two Souls, and something about it just isn't.
What is it? The story, the gameplay, how it's set up?
The gameplay is fine because I know what to expect. Um, and the story is not interesting. To me, it's not that interesting.
Right, right.
The way it's set up, also, you're playing chapters, and the story is just so not connected to each other. You're
Yeah,
playing one chapter, and then she's young. The
yeah.
next chapter, she's old.
I agree. It feels a little disjointed,
Yeah,
and it just feels like it's all over the place.
I know. There was a way to. I think there is a way to play it in chronological order, but
Yeah, yeah. The
I didn't know that when I downloaded the game.
when I downloaded the game, I wanted to play it how it was originally intended to be played.
Right from the
But I
death, right?
know reading on some of the forums and stuff, that was one of the biggest complaints that the story just was all over the place.
Right, and I
And I
guess that's
agree.
why they put in that feature.
Yeah, yeah. But I got a chance to play it. I wasn't feeling it, so I'm like, you know what? Let me put it down. Let me go outside. So I put the control down, went outside with my son. We started
Uh-huh.
walking up and down the main street, and there's a store, right,
Hmm.
called Fun and Games. But the problem is, it looks like an old school like mom and pop type of video game store, but it's abandoned. Like I don't
So
even know.
there's no fun or games in it.
Well, there's games in it, but I don't see any fun going on in there. And I looked and I'm looking through the window, and this store has been closed for quite some time. I can't
Oh boy.
pinpoint it exactly when they closed, but the storefront's there. All the merchandise is still in the store, but the store's not open, and it hasn't been open for at least over a year. But the thing,
What do you mean the merchandise is still there? Like
I
this
have
stuff.
to take pictures and I'll show it to you so you know what I mean, and I'll try to post it. But all the merchandise is still in there. It just looks like whoever was the owner of the store just abandoned it. And but there's if you look in the window, there's like the old like believe me when I tell you that it's like the old school Game Boy, the Xbox. They have like the old school, I guess, advertisements, like the cardboard cutouts of like the original Halo. And then in the
They
back,
just left it there.
they just left it there, and
They just bounced.
I have to take pictures and I have to show you because this is just I didn't think about it before just to really look, but then behind like the Halo sort of cardboard cutout, like off to the side a little bit, there was a Sega Dreamcast covered in dust. I'm talking
Poor
about
guy.
a thick layer. I can just look at him like if I were to touch this Dreamcast, I would get some sort of infection because that's how thick the layer of dust is.
You'd be like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there. Well, I'm actually standing there with my son, and my son's looking in, and he's trying to make sense of what he's looking at. And I thought to myself, wow, I have nothing but fond memories of that specific system.
Hold on, before you go any further,
Yeah,
the store.
yes.
Is there any secure like not security, but like the windows are just bare?
Yeah, I could literally take a brick. I'm not saying you should do this, but and I'm not condoning any type of theft in this way. But I could literally just take a brick and just smash the window and take
I
whatever's
can't
there.
neighborhood either.
But then again, it's Pompton Lakes. Nothing's popping off in Pompton Lakes.
Yeah,
The cops literally have to find things to do because
yeah.
it's such like a peaceful town. Like nothing bad happens in this town.
You know what that
So
means?
what is that? Yeah, I know.
One day.
One day something's gonna happen, and I'm gonna
God, it's not this town. We couldn't believe it was this town.
yeah. But and I thought to myself, man, like and Everything started replaying in my head. And out of all the systems that I've owned up to this point, I would have to say that the Sega Dreamcast is by far my favorite system.
I mean, it definitely was. As far as I know, I didn't have one. My cousin had one,
Right.
and I think he had Sonic. I think it came out when it was released. Sonic was one of the first. I think so. I'm not sure.
Well, when it was released, there were, I believe, 19 day one titles. 19. Sonic was
Sonic one.
Sonic. Well, from the more popular ones that were released, it was obviously Sonic Adventure. I believe Blue Stinger, Power Stone, which I bought day one. Well, actually, I pre-ordered it. Soul Calibur, House of the Dead 2, and we were introduced to the 2K series when NFL 2K released, and Ready to Rumble. Those were like the more popular ones out of the 19, right? And just so at the time when it was released, right? Some of the more popular games that were out in the events leading up to the Dreamcast's release: Super Smash Brothers,
Right.
Marvel vs. Street Fighter, right? Silent Hill, Final Fantasy VIII, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Counter
Oh, really? Roller Coaster?
Counter Strike, and Siphon Filter. Those are some of the more popular games, right?
Okay.
And some of the events that happened back in '99, we were first introduced to SpongeBob SquarePants in '99.
I didn't realize.
Lance Armstrong won his first Tour de France. Yeah.
I'm more about SpongeBob.
Internet Explorer 5 was released. We were
I mean,
introduced.
we were nowhere near what we are now.
Oh, no, no, no. Napster was introduced. Remember
You
Napster?
know, and of course I remember that thing. I remember in college downloading songs.
Bluetooth was officially announced. It wasn't released, it was just announced. It was a thing.
So that was an idea.
It was an idea. Nobody knew what the hell Bluetooth was at that point. And we were introduced to the world of MySpace.
R.I.P. What happened?
I don't know. This was back in '99. Some of the more popular movies was The Matrix, Star Wars Episode 1, and Toy Story 2.
I remember being so. I mean, the Star Wars Episode 1, we all know.
Y-
I remember being so excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, man, that was in '99. And
I
the
was in high school.
and the
I know
one
you were kind of.
no, '99. I was in my second year of college. No, no, yeah, I was no. As a matter of fact, I was in my first year of college when back in '99 because I graduated
Mhm.
high school in '98. Oh my God, I feel so old.
You don't feel old.
Like
You are old.
I literally like I felt it. Like, oh my God, '99. But the one thing I remember specifically about the Dreamcast, right? And it's the events leading up to it was obviously that aggressive marketing campaign that they had.
Yeah, I mean that was if I remember correctly. I mean, wasn't it like next to the N64
Yeah.
as far as those are the two competitors at that point?
Yeah, it was, and I think Nintendo 64 was the at the time the only other competitor. I mean, PlayStation was nearing the end of its life cycle.
Hmm.
It was still going strong, but it was towards the end, and the only really other competitor was N64. So it's funny because you had the N64, which was kind of like the family-friendly console, the wholesome family, and then you had the PlayStation, which was kind of the professional, and it was kind of dominating. And then here comes the Dreamcast that tries to be like the cool stepdad,
Hmm.
you know. And I remember the 9/9/99, September 9th,
Yeah.
1999. I thought it was great. It's brilliant. I'm like, they couldn't have picked another date to release it. 9/9/99. And the one thing that I specifically remember about this console is the fact that it felt like a gaming console. It didn't try to do anything else but provide games. That was it. And it had some of the best games out on the
Yeah, yeah,
market.
definitely.
If it literally felt like in arcade, like the games that were made in the arcades at that time, they just brought it over to the Dreamcast.
And it looked almost one for one, the
Yeah,
same.
because usually when you bring it to the Sega Genesis or the Nintendo, there's always that downscale,
Yeah, you're right.
But this was literally one to one, and I thought that was great because now we get arcade style quality gaming in a
Right.
console. And for me, I experienced a lot of firsts on that console. Namely, it was the first console that had a unique memory card. I don't know if you remember the memory card.
I remember the thing that you put on the bottom of the controller. Is that what you're referring
No,
to, or
that
something
that
else?
was the N64. It was the Rumble Pack.
No, 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 no. There's something that you inserted in the controller for
Yeah, it
the
was the memory
Dreamcast.
card. It was the
Okay.
memory card. But the memory card had an LCD screen on it,
Yeah, I remember that, but that's about all I remember.
which at that time, that was beyond, like, that was next gen.
You
And
couldn't
and
handle it.
and and we've never seen something like that ever since.
Yeah, that's a good point. We
We've
haven't seen
never seen
anything
anything
really.
even remotely close ever since. And that memory card served dual function. You were able to use it to save your games, and you could play mini games on that memory card that you
Yeah, I
saved,
read about that after the fact, but
which at the time was just it was a game changer because you were able to for Sonic Adventure, for example, there was these little creatures that you would save, and you would put them in your memory card, and you were able to take care of them, sort of Tamagotchi style.
right.
You know?
If I remember correctly, also, it didn't. I don't know if we're getting gonna get to the internet service.
Oh yeah, that was my next point, and I'm glad you brought that up because at it was like I said, it was my first experience really playing online with that console, and it did it absolutely flawless. And remember,
56K.
exactly, we had that 56K modem that it literally sounded barbaric,
And it worked well.
and it worked for the time. It worked very, very, very
Right.
well. You remember that sound, right?
Of course, I remember that song.
You remember that sound, you know? And the first game that I actually played online, I believe it was Quake 3 Arena.
Wow, you went all in because
Yeah.
that's no joke for an online
Yeah,
game.
it was Quake 3 Arena was the first time that I actually got to experience true online multiplayer shooting, like a first person shooter.
Did you have any experience playing like for PC before that, or
Yes, I did,
that's
like
really your
minor,
first?
minor, yeah. As far as
Okay,
I'm talking just strictly console,
okay,
right?
okay.
Because PC at the time I would play what's the name of this game? It's the same people who did Quake. Oh, Unreal Tournament.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, PC was still the dominant force as far as online gaming. But to have it in a console,
Yeah.
oh man, this was unreal. No pun intended.
Huh. No,
Y-
no, but you're right. Just to be able to play with somebody on a console
And we
online, we didn't even know what that was.
no,
Like,
there was only a select few that knew exactly what that was. But being able to play, there was no voice chat whatsoever. So communicating with somebody was a little bit difficult. But the Dreamcast had a keyboard that you could attach. See, this is the extent that we went through to communicate with one another.
but hang on, that didn't come with the
No, no,
Dreamcast.
no, no, no.
Okay,
You
so you
you
had to buy that
you had
separately.
to buy this. It was a peripheral. You had to buy it separate. It was a
So if
keyboard. Yeah, it was just a computer keyboard that you attached to the Dreamcast.
so if you didn't get that, you were kind of SOL.
Yeah, yeah. See,
Like there
sir,
was no kind of like,
early on in the system's life cycle, there was really no. They didn't think about implementing a real sort of communication system like how we have now.
I'm not even talking about like a keyboard or anything like that, but maybe like how some games you could say hi and but that's it.
Yeah, there was
As
an
far as you remember, they didn't
yeah.
nothing
Oh no, no,
nothing.
absolutely. Because the next game, all right, the game that I still feel that kind of brought the Dreamcast to the forefront was a game that came out 4 years too early. was Phantasy Star Online.
And what did that do?
That
Again,
that
I
for the
haven't
but
played
again
it.
for the console, that was the first game that introduced what an MMORPG was. Because at that time, it still wasn't categorized as an MMORPG. Nobody knew what. There was no way to classify that genre until
Right.
World of Warcraft came out, which was, I believe, in 2004. I believe it was 2004 that it came out. That game, it was a game that it was released way too early. It was a game that was ahead of its time. Nobody knew what the hell it was. It gained a lot of traction in Japan, but it didn't really catch on the West. You had that sort of hardcore community that knew what it was. Obviously, they seen what it did in Japan. They wanted it so desperately in the West. We got it, and believe me when I tell you that this game was beyond anything I'd ever experienced. And it
I
was
mean, you
what
can see that. Go on, sorry.
and it was one of those games, like how you said, it was the first game that actually introduced an official nonverbal communication. You would show
So
like
what did you
smile.
do? You
It was
just
like smile, like you would bring up like a menu,
okay.
and it would have a whole bunch of different facial expressions
Oh,
to
okay.
represent what did you want to do, and it had a lot of preset messages already implemented. So if you wanted to do a quest, hey, let's quest, hi,
Okay.
like that was the only way for you to communicate, and it was done very well. You were able to communicate with somebody without the keyboard, without voice function, and you were on your way to doing quests.
I mean, you say that about that one game, but you can say that about the entire system that it was ahead of its time.
Yes, the system was definitely ahead of its time, but I think this one game
Right. I
really
know.
showed, like it really pushed
Right.
what it meant. That like, okay, the system, it was powered by Windows CE.
Wow. So that's
Yeah, because I remember the 56K modem was interchangeable. You could pull it out. And I remember I pulled it out one day. I was cleaning it. I pulled it out and I turned it over and it said powered by Windows CE. So I was like, wow, they really
no.
went.
You could actually pull. Wow. So you could actually. Again, I don't know. Could you do any kind of upgrades to it at
I
all?
didn't get the chance to do it, but I heard there were rumors that you could switch it from 56K to, I don't remember what the next step above that was. High speed modem? No.
I mean, it wasn't broadband. It had to be like some kind of like high speed modem, something like that. It wasn't broadband when
Yeah,
even.
but I didn't see anybody actually do it, but there were rumors that the reason why they did that was because eventually they were going to bring another higher speed for you to use. That was the
I
reason why it was detachable. I didn't get to see it, and the Dreamcast didn't last long enough for them to do that.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have done that for any other reason than to give you an upgrade or give you the ability to upgrade.
I mean, that makes sense.
You know,
That's
uh,
why you can do all this, with the current system, you can upgrade, it's easy to pull stuff out
yeah,
in the PS4. Anybody can do a hard drive upgrade on the PS4.
exactly.
So you're onto something.
Yeah, and like I said, every online game and you're right, it was definitely a game that the whole online thing was definitely being pushed. And I can give you a list of all the games that had online functionality, and it did so well. It did so well because then after that, all the other consoles
Yeah.
had online, right?
Well, the Xbox One, I mean, not the Xbox One, the first Xbox.
Introduced
That's the one that
Xbox.
really
Yeah,
started it.
it introduced Xbox Live, which was kind of the service. But
Yeah, but that's what it's taking. It took what the Dreamcast did, but really, again, I just think the Dreamcast was a couple of years too early.
I definitely I agree with you 100% on that. If they would have waited if they even would have waited a couple of months, because there's, as much as it did gaming right, and it's I still hold a place in my heart for that system. There's a lot of things that they did wrong. They
Like,
did
what would
they
you say?
they did push the system way too fast. Okay. A, the controller didn't have dual analogs.
I had like the one
It
nub.
it had the one nub, and at that time, right, when you were playing first-person shooters, and I'll give you Quake as an example, you would use the analog to sort of look around, right, and then you would use the face buttons X, Y, A, B to move
Mm-hmm.
around.
Okay, that's not. Yeah,
Yeah, at the time,
it's
and
not intuitive.
it's not intuitive, but that was the only way for you to
I get that,
play a
but
first
still,
person first person shooter,
I get that.
and I think
I do remember the controller was not, for me anyway, it was not comfortable to hold at all.
that thing was a brick.
Yeah, and to obviously hold a memory card, I guess they needed something that large. But I remember that controller specifically not, I didn't like it at all.
No, no, it didn't. Your hand definitely cramped up. Like if you had a long gaming session, it definitely cramped up. It would definitely, like, I specifically remember my like having to like massage my hands because I'm like, man, this controller's not really like, it doesn't fit well in your hand. It was just very bulky, and it reminded me of a, well, actually it was a modified version of the Sega Saturn controller. If you
I was a Sega guy, but I didn't have the Saturn. I had the 32X and the Genesis. I didn't have the Saturn. I was out by that point.
Yeah, and that was just one. Another one was the fact that they didn't have EA support. They didn't have Madden. They didn't have at the time the baseball franchise. What was it, MVP or Triple Play?
I think it's Triple Play.
They
Oh
didn't
no,
have
the MVP. I think it's
MVP.
MVP.
Yeah, they didn't have that support, right? They didn't have any DVD support, right?
Yeah, but like you said earlier, they did start the 2K series.
Yeah, and that's the one thing they did right. Without the Dreamcast, we would have never gotten the 2K series. And
Then look at
then,
it now.
and exactly, and then, which I feel, what kind of did them in was obviously Shenmue,
What do you mean by that? What do
because
you mean
at
that
at
it didn't?
at the time, right when Shenmue was in development, and my numbers could probably be incorrect, right? It costs between the production of the game and the marketing, right? It costs anywhere from like 50 to 70 million at that time. Now, 70 million is still a lot of money, but in 99,
Yeah.
that was like just double that. It was like equivalent to like 140 million.
You
Just
were
to
saying that one Shen would bankrupt the company. Is that what you're
it,
saying?
I believe, and I've seen other videos, kind of supporting the theory, but
Okay.
the amount of resources that Sega itself put into that series, they didn't get, I would have to say, not even half of that returned in the game, because it did well in Japan, but like how I said, another game that sort of introduced the whole theory of what an open world game really was.
Right.
Even though the game, kind of gave you the illusion of the open world because they gave you exploration zones. But the way it was designed, it gave you this feeling like, wow, I'm exploring an actual physical world.
That was open world before we knew what it was.
And Shenmue introduced us to QTEs, QuickTime events.
Right.
Was the very first game to have QuickTime events, which at the time nobody knew what the hell a QuickTime
Yeah.
event was. You know, and thanks to Resident Evil, they kind of killed it.
Fair enough.
Fair
I'm not
enough.
gonna
Yeah,
argue with that.
yeah. So the console did a lot of firsts, and the games that were produced did a lot of firsts, but it didn't do enough, or it didn't have enough to continue on to a very productive life cycle. Because the Dreamcast released in '99, and it ceased production in what, 2002, 2003.
I'm not even gonna pretend. I don't even know.
So that's not a long life cycle. And then
Well, Sega as a company went kind of, as a company they just couldn't even support it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. As a company, they could not afford the system because for each unit they sold, they lost a lot of money. And like I said, there was no way for them to get back their initial investment. And that's when Sega decided to make the decision to just do games and not worry about the console. Because although the console, I still think, is one of the best consoles, it just they didn't find it viable to
Well, like
continue
I
production.
just think it was a couple, a year or two, a year or two too soon.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have waited, I think it would we would probably have a Dreamcast 2 if they just would have waited to have like official competition with the PlayStation 2. Because
I
and
mean, it's
that's
debatable whether
that's another thing too. The PlayStation 2 was
yeah,
kind
I
of like
killed it.
the nail in the coffin for,
Yeah, I killed it.
because whatever Dreamcast 2 didn't the Dreamcast didn't have, the PlayStation 2 had. And
Yeah.
once the PlayStation 2 was announced and the price was announced, that's it. It was pretty much a nail in the coffin for Dreamcast. Even with the massive price cuts during the holiday season that Sega was offering, they still couldn't push units out the door.
I mean, the PS2 was just a monster.
It,
So it was
oh, I mean, no doubt. I mean, I knew a lot of people that owned more PlayStation 2s than Dreamcasts.
I think Dreamcast was kind of, I don't know, man. When I played the games were cool, but I
That
remember being like,
that's where it ended.
yeah, I remember like, oh, I don't, why should I get this? I don't know. I hate to be like that about it, but
No,
because
and
I
you
understand what it could have been.
yeah,
I think it's the
and
best way to
no, you
describe
have
it.
you have a valid argument. There were a lot of games that were just really cool to play, but that if now that I think back on it, that wasn't enough. There wasn't enough to keep it going, and obviously, as we can tell through history, you know, it just got wiped. It just got wiped off, off the store shelves.
And you mentioned the one thing, the PS2 had that the DVD support.
Not
Uh,
even it had the DVD support, the dual analogs. Those two alone. I mean, come on.
that controller is still to me.
The design.
Now we go. So PS2 controller to me was still one of the best controllers I've ever used.
So now that you've heard me go on and on about the Dreamcast, which console? I think I have an inclination of what you're going to say, but I want you to say it. What was your favorite console?
The PlayStation 2. I got that day one.
Really?
I
Did you
I
pre-order
went
it?
in line at GameStop. I got the blue box. I had to ask my mom for $100 because I didn't have the rest. She gave it to me.
Did you pre-order it or did you went day one? You waited in
I
line.
think I waited in line. I don't
Oof.
think I'm not sure. I think I waited in line.
Oh, so you were risking it. That was remember that was a dangerous times too.
I know. I don't think you can pre-order it. I'm not sure.
Was pre-ordering a thing back then?
I don't know. I don't think it was. Pre-ordering for me was when like my something might sell out.
Right.
So that could have been, but I don't remember pre-ordering. I remember going and then buying it that day.
Because I remember when I picked up the Dreamcast, I went to Funko Land. Remember Funko Land? That
And
be,
did you pre-order it, or was that a
no,
thing?
no. As a matter of fact, I no wait. I did pre-order it.
So you guys did one?
Yeah, I got it. I specifically remember going to the Funko Land in Willowbrook Mall, and
Wow, that's far.
no,
That's,
because at the time,
that's
where was
far,
I
man.
working? I was
Oh,
working.
you're an adult. That's sorry.
Yeah, I was. Where was I work? I forgot. Oh, I was working at a customer service job for Barnes and Noble, and at the time, one of the offices was in Wayne, but I don't remember exactly which.
We'll say Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, we'll just say it for now. And I remember literally just hopping in my car, driving across 46 into Willowbrook, and just pre-ordering it. But it wasn't called pre-ordering at the time. It was just called reserving.
Yeah,
That's what it was called. It wasn't pre-order officially. It was just, oh, I want to reserve it.
reserve it.
And
Right.
at the time,
'Cause at those days, even for games, they might sell out.
yeah,
Reserving was like not now. It's different. Back then, like a game might sell out.
yeah. And the amount was still the same, $5. And they literally gave you a ticket. If you lost that ticket,
Yeah, sell out.
yeah, you're SOL. That's what I specifically remember of that. I went to Funko Land. Rest in peace, Funko Land. But getting back to the PlayStation 2,
I
yeah.
remember. I also got a demo of this. I couldn't get any games with it.
So you just had enough just for
I
the
had a
system.
demo disc. Yeah, I just had enough for the system itself.
Do you remember what game on the demo disc?
I don't remember King of Fighters. No, that might be PS1. Oh my God, I don't remember.
Because I do remember it coming, but wasn't there didn't it come with a combo? Because I remember specifically, especially for the PlayStation 2, the one game that I couldn't get out of my head was Fantavision.
I know, I was about to say that.
That game, every store that I went to, whether it be GameStop, EB Games, Funko it had that same demo playing for the PS2, and all I remember seeing were fireworks.
That's the game. That's the first game I got.
And did it even have a story?
I don't think
There's
so.
no way. There's no way that game could have had a story.
But I remember I had that game for the longest. Just because I couldn't get any other game.
Because I remember when it first came out, it was Fantavision. I remember the game The Bouncer.
Oh my God.
Those were the two games that.
I didn't get that.
Those were the two games that literally stood out for me when the PlayStation 2 came out.
And a bouncer. That's
That was
a name.
by no, that was by who did that? Was it Square? Squaresoft.
I have no idea, man.
I believe it was Squaresoft. And then after that, the game that really exemplified PS2 was SOCOM.
In the early days, it was so calm, right? Because then the online thing started with that.
Oh yeah, it blew up.
But that's in the early days of PS2. That game really, yeah. But then granted GTA. Once you play GTA,
Yeah, you can't go back.
they changed the game, man. There was a before and after GTA.
The original GTA, right?
Yeah, the GTA 3.
Oh, GTA 3. Okay, I
I'm not
thought
talking about the other one. I'm not talking about
the top down.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the real, the
The
Grand Theft Auto that we know.
Yeah, because at that time, remember GTA 3 was it's still the game that kind of introduced this is what real open world games is
Yeah,
supposed to be like.
this again. There was a before and after
Yeah,
Grand Theft Auto 3.
and I guarantee you that you did not play one story mission in Grand
In the
Theft Auto
beginning, no,
3.
of course, you just ran around. Oh my God, I can do anything I want. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. At the time, you're thinking I can run down the street and punch people in the face. Like whoa, 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 whoa. Rewind. Hold on, hold on.
Yeah, you can do anything. You literally thought I can do anything.
And I specifically remember watching my brother play this game. And when he picked up a prostitute the first time, that for me, I was like, this, no, they did not. And you didn't even have to pay them.
Right, you just ran her over.
I'm thinking to
Yeah,
myself,
sick bastard.
whoa, this is some next level stuff.
And I had Virtual Fighter.
Oh, yeah, but first of all, at that time, Virtua Fighter was
That was the
it,
shit.
it was a very viable, I mean, it doesn't hold up now, but at the time, I remember specifically seeing Virtual Fighter in the arcades, and people were going crazy for this game. So it made perfect sense for you to have Virtual Fighter. It was a very, very good game.
And Twisted Metal Black.
Oof. See,
It's Twisted Metal game.
now,
That needs to be a genre and it needs to come back.
now you're bringing me back. You're
That needs to
really,
be a genre. The car combat genre.
I,
We need that back.
I want to say, didn't they bring that back?
I want to say for like a PSP or something. I could be wrong.
That sounds about right. No, but you're right. That game is literally overdue. I mean, they're bringing back all the other games like Crash Bandicoot.
And they might as well,
They
right?
might as well because at the time for the PS1 and the PS2, Twisted Metal was kind of like
Yeah, that was
the franchise. That was a
the
franchise.
That was the Sony game. That was the Sony flagship.
Yeah, that was their flagship franchise at the time. Wow, you just brought me back.
Twisted Metal and Crash Bandicoot. Those were the two. If you say PlayStation, you think of those two, in my opinion.
So, in your opinion, right? What was the one game on the PS2 that what was your Fantasy Star Online on the PS2?
Shadow of the Colossus. That
Oof.
to me is still now, even now, is I played it several times already.
Yeah, you even played the remaster,
I played the remaster, I played the
and
remake on PS3.
you wrote a very nice review. You know,
I think that's to me that's the best game I've ever played. I'll say right now. I'll make that bold statement.
no, only because no, and only because, and I'm gonna put that game up there because I, if you haven't played it by now, I'm still gonna say spoilers. I mean, if you haven't played it now, I'm gonna say it, but I'm just giving you a warning. Man, when aggro dies at the end, whole
I
listen,
know.
listen. I'm a big animal person. I love animals. I have a bird in my house. My wife loves horses. I it's kind of messed up of me because I kind of sat her down and I showed her. I know it was messed up of me, and I showed her. She looked at me.
Well, you just played like a YouTube
I'm like,
clip
yeah,
or what?
a YouTube play. I'm like, you got to see this. And she's like, oh, riding the horse, and when the bridge starts collapsing, I saw her anxiety start acting up. And then when he kind of fell and you see him falling, my wife looked at me and she said, "Why would you show me this?"
I agree. Why would you? Why would you?
You know, she started tearing up a little bit and she was mad at me for at least a week because it's like, "Why would you show me that?" But I remember seeing that for the first time, and when I played through, I'm like, "Oh my God, what's gonna happen?" I got choked up.
Even knowing what's it's gonna happen exactly, I know when it's gonna happen. I still like. I don't get. I get kind of like emotional because
And that is one of the specific reasons why I didn't play the remaster. I can't go through that again. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of skeptical on replaying the new Final Fantasy VII if it ever comes out.
yeah,
I,
I don't
I,
know if
I
I
can't,
don't know if you heard recently they somebody said like they regret
showing the demo off too early.
right
You know,
because the game is still gonna be the game is still far away.
yeah, it's still a ways out. But did you ever play Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, I'm not a big RPG guy, but
I think everybody's played Final. I think that was the one RPG that everybody played.
figure everybody was talking about it,
I can't
and
I can't go through it again.
I know.
I can't, knowing that it's gonna happen. It's like I can't watch it. And I know people are like, oh, I just can't because at that time, that type of storytelling, and I experienced it more on the PlayStation than on other consoles. That level of storytelling. Final Fantasy VII, Shadow of the Colossus. There was a couple
Um,
other.
Metal Gear,
Yeah. Metal Gear at that
I can't
time.
believe that.
Those consoles like telling those type of stories.
And Metal Gear 2, I mean, it's kind of like convoluted story, but then Metal Gear 3, I think that was a better story.
Oh, absolutely. I think Metal Gear 3 is still in the top 3 best Metal Gear games. But
I'm gonna argue with that.
seeing Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PlayStation 2, that was another game that kind of like propelled the power of the PS2.
Did you play Kingdom Hearts?
Yes, yes, I did. I played
The
it at a
first
friend's
one?
house. The first one, yeah, I played it at the friend's house, at a friend's house, and I thought to myself, what kind of crossover is this? Amazing,
Yeah.
like, but it's like, who thought of this? Mixing in Final Fantasy with Disney.
At that time, it was, I don't want to say genius, but
No, you can go ahead
I
and
guess
say
it was
that
that,
because
yeah.
we always knew Disney for being Disney and the Square Enix for being Square Enix, and mashing the two. I would love to have been in that conference room when that one guy in the back, his name was probably Steve, who proposed the idea, and they all looked at him and they all laughed at him.
And then get out of here.
You know, and now who's laughing now? Now we're up to Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. But yeah, I mean, PlayStation 2.
And then one of my favorites, I have Manhunt.
Oh my God. You know, the controversy surrounding that game. Rockstar at that time. Wait, when do you know? You don't know what year it came out, did you? Manhunt.
Uh, in front of me, hang on.
I don't think Rockstar was at that
Yeah,
caliber
they
yet.
still weren't.
They weren't known for releasing those controversial games.
It
But
was
I think
2003.
2003, yeah, at that time I don't think they were really known for that. And I do believe Manhunt was that one game that really propelled them to that level.
Yeah, I mean, if one game is gonna do it, it's gonna be that. It's
You
gonna
know,
be-
because I played it. I didn't understand what I was playing, but then that was literally the first time I heard the word snuff film.
No, I understood what was going on.
You
It's
know,
like with the Running Man.
yeah, but at the time I was like, what the hell am I like? I'd never really played a game like that. I knew what was going on, but it was really weird. The camera angles and am I playing a show and what the hell's going on? You know?
Again, and the kills were so visceral or some like when you choke the guy out with a bag and him like breathing and stuff and like
The one thing that was funny to me, because obviously, I think the plastic bag kill was probably the most used kill in that game, because
yeah
the plastic bags were just readily available, and
right.
he would wrap the plastic bag around his head, punch him once, right, and it was always just that one punch, and then you heard the guy like choking on his own blood.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, what am I witnessing? And remember, the graphics weren't all that polished. It was very like polygons. So seeing the blood, it was just to me it was just hilarious. But of course, some people they didn't find it hilarious. They
you
found the
definitely gotta be what's the right term I want to use? You definitely gotta be. If you're laughing, I'll admit it was funny, but it was also kind of like weird. Like the first time I ever like, no, what is it? What am I doing here? What?
yeah, that's exactly what I felt. I'm like, "Oh, but you just wanted to keep going. You wanted to see it through. You wanted to know what the hell was going on. And like how you said, it was just an episode of The Running Man.
And that's the first thing I thought was where's Arnold because that's just the feeling I got from it.
Right.
And from the camera angles, it looked like a TV show. Um, and then the guy talking overhead
Right.
throughout the entire game. That's what I thought. And then don't forget God of War. That's when you first
Oh
saw
yeah.
Kratos.
That was the very first time we were introduced to the person who is known as Kratos. The
Just a lot of classics are on PlayStation 2.
the
I
ep-
mean, to this
the
day.
epitome of just pure testosterone.
In the dictionary, testosterone is a
You just
picture
see
of
a
Kratos.
picture of Kratos. You know, there were just we can just go on and on about the games. You
San
know,
Andreas, Vice City, the
see,
Silent Hill series kind of got its foot in the PS2.
I mean,
Um,
I can see why you chose a PS2.
I
It
just
was
have a lot of my memories are on PS2. I mean, PS3, Genesis. Genesis I have also, but for whatever reason, the PS2 just really got a hold of me. And it was my first, a lot of people's first DVD player.
yeah,
Um,
and for me, I think the reason for me having such sort of love for the Dreamcast, I think it had to do with it was one of the very first consoles that I bought with my own money.
that even though that means something, I guess.
You know,
I mean,
yeah, because
if you earn something, if you buy it, yeah,
yeah,
that
because before it's like you had to beg your mom, like, oh, or your dad, can I have a couple of a couple hundred to buy a system, and you had to like plead your case. You had to do a PowerPoint. This is why I need the money. And
yeah, I
then
get you. I mean, I did have to beg my mom for the $100. Like, I get you.
and then me actually being able, just realizing like, wow, I have the ability to just buy this on my own. Oh, of course, boom. I saved. I remember saving so much money for this, and I remember buying the console, the memory card, and one game. That was it. That was my limit.
And well, do you remember around everything? Do you remember how much it was?
Ooh,
Give a guesstimate.
little bit over 300. I would have to say at the time.
You think the Dreamcast came out like how much was do you remember how much the system was? There's no way 300.
But then
I
again,
I
my
said a guesstimate, I know, but
my trying to I'm
you
really
remember
really
the
trying
game
to
was only
think.
$50.
At the time when it was released, because I remember it was $200.
That's pretty good.
It was $200 when it first came out, and then I bought the memory card because it came with the controller. Did it come with the memory card? I don't remember if it came with the memory card. No, as a matter of fact, you had to buy the memory card separate because all it came with was just the console, the remote. I got one memory card, and then I had enough to buy Power Stone. And
Hmm.
then I ended up getting Sonic Adventure from my brother as a birthday gift because
Okay.
it came out in September. The Dreamcast was my birthday gift, and then my brother ended up giving me,
Sonic.
Sonic for my birthday. Because he was originally going to give me the money to, some of the money to buy the console, but I told him, no, 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 I have enough to buy it. So
You
just
got
buy
that.
me,
You got
yeah,
that.
I got that covered. I appreciate the gesture. I got it covered. I got this.
You can get something else.
Get me a game. And then
Yeah.
I told him just get me. I gave him a list of 3 games. It was Ready to Rumble, Sonic Adventure, and I think Soul Calibur. And he just got me Sonic Adventure. But yeah, it was $200, and yeah, it was like close to 300, a little over
That's
300.
crazy then.
Yeah, but at the
Because
time,
for a new system, that would never fly today.
what, $200? But
Yeah,
remember, that's 1999 prices.
I guess so. But still, I mean, you're
Because
right. I
yeah, I
guess.
mean that's 1999 prices. $200 is equivalent to what, 300-400 bucks, for a console now.
Still,
So it makes sense.
okay, I guess.
It makes perfect sense. So I remember specifically walking out of Funkoland, and it was just like a white bag, and I remember driving home so fast. I'm surprised I didn't get a ticket or B killed myself.
It's a long way
Yeah,
from
from
Blue Book
from
Mall
Wayne
to.
at the time, Wayne, all the way to North Bergen,
Yeah,
with the bag literally staring me in the face.
I mean, again, I've played the system. I just don't have, my cousin had it, and I play it once in a while.
Which
So
GameStop
I
did you
haven't
go
been.
to get the PS2?
I think it was the Funkoland, the one in North Bergen, though. The one
Oh
that
yeah,
by
you didn't have that far of
no,
a
no,
drive.
no.
No,
Sorry.
not like me. Yeah.
But again, at that point, I think I was driving. Yeah, I was driving. So I don't know. I was right there. So I think I remember calling them. I remember that.
And I
I
remember.
remember calling them to asking them if they have it, and he said yes.
See, even for us back then, for us to get a system, we had to put in the work.
We did end up putting some work. Yes, I did have to make a phone
Calling.
call. Yeah, they want to. I didn't want to get the money and then not have the system.
Right.
Cause then it would have been a lost cause for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to make sure I had the system first, and then I had the blue box. I remember to this day. I remember I kept that box around for a while. I don't know why. I don't know why that sticks out in my mind. that was that was so funny. But my first DVD was Scream 2, by the way.
Wow, you were really bringing me back.
I bought it used in Blockbuster.
Oh,
If you
Blockbuster.
really
Oh
want
my
to go,
God.
I didn't rent it. I bought it. I had to have Scream 2. I remember watching it. Like the menu blew me away. That was my first DVD. My first DVD player. Um, I use it for music sometimes, but not that much. But I didn't the online functionality. I didn't really mess with that. It was only a certain game, right? If I remember
I
correctly.
remember it was the SOCOM series had online, but other than that, I don't.
I think
Uh,
one of the Final Fantasy games had it.
I'm trying to think. I want to say you're right, but don't remember which one.
And I think it was like an MMO kind of
Oh, okay, okay. I think I know which one you're talking about. It was one of the earliest. versions of they tried the whole MMO thing and it just didn't work.
Yeah, I think it's well, it did work because I think even some people until recently were still playing it.
Wow.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
No, because I specifically remember too, going back to Fantasy Star Online, people were still people were still playing it.
Yeah,
And I remember specifically there were a couple of people who had like private servers going and they had to like really force them to shut them down because that game was just done. And even in the mid 2000s, some Japanese companies were still pumping out games for the Dreamcast.
yeah, I read that. How would that like?
I don't know. I have no idea how how that would have worked. But yeah, they were still making games for that console, even though they stopped production and they ceased all operations for that console. They were still pumping out games for it.
It's like Super Nintendo. Like somebody still made a game for it recently.
I read that, but I thought they were just joking.
No, I think it's real.
Oh my
I'm not
god.
talking about Street Fighter. I'm talking about something else.
Right.
There's a couple games that were online. I'm looking it up now. Uh, Obviously all the Solcom games.
Right.
Toka, you remember the Toka, the
No, that
racing?
no, I don't remember that one.
Hold on. X-Men Legends 2.
That one was online?
That's what it says, and there's a list here.
Hmm. I remember
Some of
X.
the wrestling games were online.
Okay.
Uh, FIFA '06,
Oof.
Deer Hunter.
Hey,
I know you're big
don't knock that game. Don't knock it until you try it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of games here. Hot Wheels Stunt Track.
Okay. That one makes
Playable
sense.
through one open spy. I don't know what that is. Yeah, there's a few. So, I mean, I didn't, at that point, online wasn't even a thing for me anyway. So I didn't have no, PS3. Yeah, I didn't get online until like, like the middle of PS3's life cycle.
Right. But PS3 already had sort of an established online.
Yeah, they had it built in and
It had
stuff.
it sort of built in, but yeah, I remember. I mean, Xbox Live when it had it on the original Xbox, there was only a couple of games. I remember, well, not even Halo. Halo was more like local, but Crimson Skies, and there were a couple of other games that had like really good online functionality. But yeah, it wasn't until like the PS3, Xbox 360
Yeah.
that's when online was just that's it. It was fully implemented into the culture.
You had the original Xbox?
My brother did.
Okay.
Yeah, but and we played we there was I remember we played split screen Halo like a lot. And because remember
Even
back
I
then,
did. I
yeah,
mean, I didn't have it.
split screen was still a thing back then.
Well,
You
back
know,
then, you
yeah,
could go like two or three Xboxes and
yeah, you can create your own little LAN party, which we
right.
did. I remember specifically doing with a couple of friends of mine. We put two Xboxes together and we had a huge LAN party.
Yeah,
And
so
look, even game like I said, we had to put in the effort.
you definitely had to put in some effort to
It was nothing came
do what
easy
you
to
wanted.
us. We had to find a way, and we found a way. I remember putting it my friend's house in his living room. We had like 4 or 5 of those gigantic CRT monitors,
Like the old school one?
the old school ones.
Damn.
And carrying those things that was you had to put in those things were
The
not
giant.
light. That was definitely a two-man job. But that we made it work, and it was
Yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And
Wires everywhere and
it's
stuff like
just
this.
so sad that like my son is not going to be able to experience that when gaming was really gaming. Now it's just it's metamorphed into something completely different. But back then, it was about the games and what we were willing to go through to play those
Yeah,
games.
you're right. And there was definitely it's different. I'll say it that way. It's different. I'm not gonna say better or worse. I will say it's
Yeah,
different.
yeah. You can't really put a comparison. It's like comparing. It's like that whole debate now: who's better, MJ or LeBron? Like, come on. It's just it's a different time.
Right.
You
It is
know,
different. I'm not gonna.
where you would our online was literally getting together at a friend's house playing split screen co-op or any type
Right.
of split screen. That for us was online multiplayer. And you know what? We did what we could. We
Yeah,
played,
you made it work.
we made it work. And it was the most amazing times.
It
You
was
know,
fun. I'm not gonna penalize your son for being born
yeah,
in today's era. I'm
yeah.
not gonna.
The only thing I'm going to be able to do is just speak fondly of the times when, gaming was gaming. And I know he's going to ask me, what was it like growing up for you? And I'm going to tell him the stories, you know.
I mean, I wonder how. I wonder what PS like 8 will be. That's what I want to see.
If
Like,
we're
it'll just be in your head.
if we're at where we're at now with sort of the power of the consoles, we're at PS4 right now. We're towards the end of the PS4 life cycle. PS5, what, 3, 4 years away, according to
I would say about 3 or 4.
yeah,
So that's a good.
3 or 4 years away. By the time he reaches 18, right? What are we in 18 years? Death Stranding will be out, definitely.
Yeah,
You know,
it just come out.
it'll just be released. Probably Final Fantasy VII as well will probably be released. 18 years from now. But who knows, man? At that point, what they're gonna have.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I can't even. I can't imagine. I have no idea.
So I feel like we've gotten a good amount of history here, so that our viewers can see what our gaming roots were, where we came
Yeah,
from, the experiences that we had.
yeah. I think our first 2 episodes, we went into E3 and stuff like that, but I think we wanted to kind of give a little background on what we're about,
Yeah,
and we're not just some yahoos. We do have some history and experience with games and the hobby that we love.
yeah. And as always, if you have any ideas of topics that you want to talk about, if you want to throw in your comments, your thoughts, feel free to leave comments. Send us your thoughts. You can go on levelbasedgaming.com. You can reach out to us on YouTube, Twitter, Podbean. We're finally up on Google Play as well, which is good news for us. So
Yeah.
either way, you can reach out to us.
Yep.
We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear if we're doing a good job or if we're doing a bad job. You love us, you don't love us. Send us your feedback. Send us your love. We're not doing this for us. We're doing this for you guys. We wanted to thank all of the guys who have been supporting us up to this point. We're doing it for you.
And we definitely want to hear people's opinions,
Yeah, yeah.
for
I
good
mean,
or bad.
good or bad. I mean, we
For
like,
me, for us, it doesn't.
yeah.
We want to hear people's opinion.
I really wouldn't look at it as bad. It's just more like constructive criticism.
Exactly.
It's only gonna make us better hearing from you guys.
Right.
So, with that being said, my name is Felipe Parada,
And my name is Oscar Portillo.
and we will see you guys soon. Take care, guys.
Yeah.